Welcome back to the arcade and part 2 of the 13-inch Wells Gardner 4800 tube swap. Okay, now let's go ahead and take the convergence rings and the yoke off. Now, what I've done here is I took a permanent Sharpie, and I've already made a line with this little notch on the ring all the way down to line up on the tube. Now, because these convergence rings are on the new tube, I'm sure they're adjusting whatever it has to adjust for the guns of the tube. So I'm thinking that if they fit, then I'll put these back on along with the original yoke, because if you put these on, these might be for the other tube, because each one is built individually, and even though they're probably pretty close, there could be some differences, especially since this tube came from the 80s and this tube came from, what was it, 2004, I think it was, on the model number. So there could be a little bit of changes in the gun and the alignment of the gun and everything, so that the convergence rings might be a little different. So that's why I'm going to try using the original first and keep them in the same place, and maybe, if we're lucky, which usually I'm not, but if we're lucky, when we put this back together, we won't have to do a whole lot of converging. Maybe it'll be right on. But it could be different because the yoke has a different impedance. So even though the yoke does the same thing to both tubes, we're using a different chassis. So it might go out the window, you know. This might not work. We might have to use these original ones. But I'm going right now, I'm going to go with the ones that came with the tube and just swap the yoke itself. Okay. So, first let's take the convergence rings off. It's got a Phillips screwdriver here. And we'll just loosen the clamp. And hopefully they're not glued in place. The clamp is loose. They put cloth on the neck of the tube to take up some space, and I don't know if that had any adhesive on it. Oh boy. So I'm going to take an X-Acto knife and I'm going to see if I can't push it underneath and pry these loose. They seem to be loose. Boy, that's tight. That is really tight. The last thing I want to do is neck the tube. There shouldn't be nothing else holding it on. It's just a resistance fit. It's wiggling. These are the things you run into. Alright, wiggling a little more. There we go. Whew. Boy, you can see the marks that thing made. It was on there tight. See the marks that they made on there? That one was one of the tightest ones I've ever seen. Okay. Well, let's take this one off. See how easy the yoke is going to come off. Okay, the yoke comes off easy. That was good. Okay, now the wedges. These wedges are usually put in, they're glued in. Now I'm going to take a chance that these are in the right place, but they might not be. You have to set the, what do they call it, the purity. In other words, when you put the yoke on, the yoke, you have to slide it forward and backwards and get it in the right position so that the color on the tube, you have to do this when it's energized and running. So to set the purity, you have to get the same even color around the tube, on the outside of the tube, the viewing area. If you pull it back, you know, colors bleed in from the side, or if you got it too far, they'll warp around. So I'm going to try it first by just putting the original yoke on with these wedges like they are. We might have to pull these wedges off and start all over again, and I may even have to use the wedges that's on the original tube, although they look pretty much the same, and they're in about, well, let's see, they're in pretty close to the same position too. There's 3 of them, so that you can, by 3 of them, how far you put them in and out, you can tilt the angle of the yoke 360 degrees in order to get that purity even all the way around. That's why it's like that. Okay. Well, now we got to do the same thing to this one. We got to get the convergence rings off. And I did the same thing on this one. I marked the top with the red line so that I'll know where these convergence rings were on the old tube. Might not matter, but it's possible that if we slide them on in the same position on here, it may work. So I just wanted to mark them just to make sure. All All right, let's see how hard these are going to be to get off. These are actually glued. Hot glue. But there we go. That came off. This one doesn't have as much tape on it. Only a piece of tape on the top side. You can see the guns in there, and it's got a little bit of blackness right there, I guess, where it was getting hot. All right, this one has like a thumb type clamp on it here. And this might be a little harder. Nope, it's coming. There we are. There's the neck of the tube that's got the guns and everything in it. The guns, the heating element, everything that makes the tube work is in this one little piece right here. So, yeah. I could have killed the little critter that did this, but anyway. Give it a little dusting here. All right, well, let's see how it fits on the new tube. May have to take some of this tape off if this tape is too thick. Oh. It seems to fit on nice. Whether it's too far up there, I don't know. Oh, the metal is hitting that wedge right there. It may not be up there far enough. I may have to move this wedge. But then again, we'll try it there first and see what it looks like. I'll just snug that up a little bit. Okay. Let's see if we can put these boogers back on. Uh-oh. Good thing they're marked, because I just moved one a little bit. There we go. Now they're back in the same position they were in when I took them off. Whether that's good or bad, I don't know. This is kind of a trial and error thing. right. Not tight, just snugged a little bit. All right, now let's take our chassis. And let's see, what did I do with the screws? I think these are screws. Come on, get in there. There we go. Okay. Now I got to figure out what I'm going to do with this. And got to do something with this. Might be able to put that on there, I don't know. See if the neck board goes on. Okay, that neck board fits. Now I got to connect the dag wire here. That's a little bit too short to reach that. Let me plug in the degaussing coil here. And put it back in its little clip. And the yoke. Get this over here out the way. I should have put this on before I put the neck board on, I guess. Oh, which way does it go? There's space, so it only goes one way. And I'm going to pull this back off because I can't see. Okay. Don't like that. I'm going to have to tie these yoke wires up. Alright. That's got a boot on it. I wonder if that solder's on that thing. It's hard, so it ain't going to come off easy. It don't look like they put teeth marks in it here, but it doesn't look like they actually penetrated it. I wonder how hard it is to get a boot on there. Probably not easy because that's crimped on after the boot is on, I'm sure. Yeah, there'd be no way to get that on there. I wonder if this boot right here would come off easier, or if it even comes off. No, I don't think it does. Okay. Well, for now, guess what? We're not even going to use a boot. Who needs a boot? Right? Yeah. That's kind of sketchy. Especially having to work around that yoke. Okay, let me think about that and I'll be back. Okay, well, I come to the conclusion that the wire is molded into the high voltage transformer, so that leaves out me trying to transfer this whole wire to the other one. Because if I was to even cut it here and try to splice it, I don't know if I'd have any material that I could insulate that with. So what I decided to do is this monitor, or the TV that I'm getting the tube from, has a type of cup where the clip that goes into the monitor is soldered on. The wire just, you strip off a little length of wire, it bends right around the wire, and then you bend it over and you solder it. So I'm going to unsolder this and use this anode cup, and then I'm going to go ahead and just cut the original one off of this one here, and I'm going to hope that we won't have any leakage through this cord right here. If we do, then I may have to come back and go back to this and see if I can't splice this on here and find something to cover that up. Maybe a spark plug boot or something like that would probably work. But if we don't have to go through that much trouble, then I'm not going to worry about it. So anyway, I got my soldering iron heated up here. So let's see if I can get this unsoldered. figure out a way to hold this thing. Yeah, that ain't gonna work. All right, let's try that. Add a little bit of solder to it. Okay. All right, where did my little... Can't never find what you want when you're looking for them. Oh well, they'll come back one day. Let's see if I can't get the wire out of this. It's probably also got a couple little spikes that spike into the wire. Okay, just got one spike. All right, slide this boot off. That's mighty tight. Here's what I was looking for. Don't know if they're the ones I had, or I think they are. All right. Now take my wire cutters and wire strippers. Okay. And we'll tin the end of the wire. Hope solder sticks to it. Yep. Now, need something to lube this up. I wonder if how easy it's going to fit through here. Oh, it's not bad. a little spit lube on it. See the wire. There we go. Don't need much. Alright, smash that little tab in there. Bend it over. And solder it. And we have it. Good as new. Just gotta slide it down in here. There we go. Gooder than you. Now, as long as we don't have any leaks in the wire, we'll be okay. There we go. Now we can put our neck board back on. Actually, I gotta do something with this wire. The other one was soldered in the same spot the other one is. I think I'll just connect this wire to the wire that's already on it. I think that'll work. All right. Okay. Cut this old wire. It appears like I just had it twisted together. I think it was only a temporary deal. I don't know. But I'll temporarily put some Captain tape around it, and we'll fix it later. Might put some type of connector in there. Whoops. For now, I'm just going to twist it together. It's only the high voltage ground. You know, what the hey. Like I say, this is only temporary. And that's what this tape is for, really. Insulation now. I don't know how it'll do with high voltage, but I think it'll be all right on the ground. We shall see. Okay, it's ready. Now, I know I had a plug, an adapter that would fit that. That's an amp connector. It's only 2 wires, so I know that this, you need an isolation transformer. So I'm going to get my monitor testing isolation transformer out and see if I have a ready-made cord for this. And when I find that, I'll come back and we'll fire it up and see if we got any life in the chassis. Well, it's been about a day. I couldn't find the electric cord, and I had to get a battery for my test pattern generator because last time I used it, I left it on. I need to make that mod where you put a LED on there so you can see that you left it on. But anyway, I think I got everything set up now. Like I say, I got my Crafty Mech test pattern generator. Got a new battery in it. I got it hooked into the chassis. I got it hooked up for positive input. I could have hooked it up for negative, but I got it hooked up for positive. I'm not sure if I got the dip switches set for, yeah, I don't know. I have to recheck those before I fire it up. Anyway, we got everything situated. Everything is hooked up. I have my ISOPAC B&K position isolation transformer. Got it set up with the 2 switches here for 115 volts. I plugged the cord in here. Now, because it's on an isolation transformer, polarity of the cord didn't really matter, but I like to keep things like they're supposed to be. So I went ahead and figured out what was what. On this cord here, it's just a 2-wire cord, and you got one wire is black, the other one is black with a white stripe. And on this type of wire, the black is going to be your hot, and your white stripe is going to be the neutral. And therefore, on the cord I'm using is also a 2-wire cord. It's a polarized plug. Actually, it's the plug that came on the television that we got the tube out of. So it's got a black and a white wire. So obviously the black goes with the black and the white goes with the wire with the white stripe. That way you got your polarity set up right. Don't know if it really matters on this. I could probably check it with a voltmeter, but some old equipment, old televisions and old tube radios especially, you know, if you don't use a polarized plug, and a lot of the old equipment didn't have a polarized plug, then if you, without a polarized plug, you plug it in one way, you might be correct. You plug it in the other way, and your hot will become the ground. I mean, yeah, the hot will become the ground, and you'll have what you call a hot chassis. So in other words, if the chassis is hot and you touch it, and you touch your ground with like your other hand, you'll get a shock. And this could potentially be lethal. What I'm talking about, everybody nowadays knows about a polarized power plug. One blade is thicker than the other one. And the way you tell which is which, of course, the narrow blade, the skinny blade, is going to be your hot, and the wide blade is going to be the neutral. And that's how you tell. Now, on some old extension cords, and if you have any old Christmas lights, I mean real old stuff from the 60s and beyond, 50s and whatever, they didn't have polarized plugs. They were both the same size, so you could plug them in either way. Well, nowadays you can't do that. You have polarized plug. And on a standard socket, which this is right here, you also have polarized plug. You got the wide blade and the narrow blade. And of course, you can't plug the wide blade into the narrow, so that way you know what the polarity is. Okay, just thought I'd mention that. Same thing applies if you're putting a new plug on the end of your game. A lot of times, all games have, not all, I've seen a couple that didn't, but most of them have a 3-prong plug with a ground plug on it. And that's the reason why you have your ground runs to your control panel and to the monitor, and anything metal in the cabinet, it's all hooked to the third ground lug, that round ground on the plug. And that's to prevent anyone from getting shocked if they wire up a plug backwards. So if you take a plug and you don't have a ground prong on it, a 3-way plug, and somebody has pulled that ground plug off, and then somebody wires it up and gets the neutral and hot reversed, well, that can be a problem. So anytime you're putting a plug on a cord, you need to make sure you get the polarity right. Okay, that's just a safety tip. Okay, we should have everything set up now. We got power hooked up. We got the test pattern generator hooked up. And I got my mirror over here so I can see what's on the screen when I fire it up. Of course, I'm going to be looking at this side first to see if we get any magic smoke. Because like I say, this chassis has not been energized in probably a good 10 years. And I didn't do anything to it other than clean it up. But, alright, well, let me check the test pattern generator to make sure I got the dip switches right, set up for positive. I might have had it set up for negative. I don't know the last time I used it. And then I'll mount this camera right here so that you can get a screen picture, and then I'll have the other camera on the chassis here, and we'll see what we can do about firing this thing up. Okay, well, we're ready to try it. So let's cross our fingers. I'm going to throw the button and hope we don't get magic smoke. False alarm. Let's see, I'm going to have to turn it on. Okay, here we go again. 1, 2, 3, fire it up. Okay. And, whoa. That ain't good. Just got some magic smoke from the FLYBACK. Okay, let me regroup. All right, let me see if I can get a close-up of that crack. See it right there? Yeah. That's definitely a crack. Okay, well, I guess I'm going to see if I can find a FLYBACK for it. If they don't have new ones available, I'll have to see if I can find a used one or another used chassis. Well, back to the drawing board, do a little research, and I'll be back when I find something.